Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we have a special guest. His name is Guilherme Rocha, and we met a couple of months ago when he came to Canada. He stayed here for a month, got to see how the emergency department works, and he's just checking it out, learning about the culture and how medicine works here so that he can take a little bit of that and go back to Brazil and apply it there. Guilherme, thank you for joining me in this interview. I know a lot of people are just curious in general in terms of how medicine works around the world. It's very different sometimes in how we practice in North America compared to South America and specifically Brazil. So, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm very happy to be here today. I'm very thankful for this opportunity to talk a little bit about my country, about my experience in Canada, and yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining. Before I start, I like to start every interview with some rapid fire questions. And so the first one is, where did you grow up?
I grow here in Curitiba, Brazil. It's a city. It's not small city. It's like the capital of my state. It's near to São Paulo, about 400 kilometers. I passed all my life here in Curitiba,
Yep.
playing video games and training jiu-jitsu and doing stuff. Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah. And so my next question is, where do you live? But you still live in Curitiba, which is good. Hometown. What is your favorite quote?
wow, that's a great question. I think my favorite quote that I think about every day while I'm practicing medicine at school, at a hospital, or wherever I am, is with great powers come great responsibilities. Yeah,
Hey.
and Ben is a very wise man.
Yes, Uncle Ben. Speaking of Uncle Ben, who's in Spider-Man, what is one of your superpowers?
That's another great question. I don't know, maybe my determination. That's a great power.
Right.
Uh, I don't know if you guys are hearing this on the back,
Yeah, we can hear a little bit. Yeah.
uh, like the sound car, something like that, selling eggs. I think
Oh,
that's not a very common thing in Canada.
no, so that's basically a truck with some big speakers and they have commercials and sound going on.
Yeah, that's it. And like now there are chickens. Okay, but coming back to the question, my superpower I think is my determination. Like I'm very determined, and like I train jiu-jitsu, I study medicine, and I have to manage all of that.
Mhm.
And with managing all of that, I have to be very determined to be the best as I can in all the stuff they do. I think that's my great power.
Yeah, no, that's a great superpower. And yeah, and I mean, I haven't been practicing jujitsu for any significant amount of time, but I know that you do learn a lot of things, a lot of life skills in jujitsu, and it just spills into every area of life.
Yeah, yeah. Jiu-jitsu, like I started doing judo when I was 6 years,
Hmm.
6 years old. And like I keep practicing judo for all my life. I stopped it when I was 17, but I started jiu-jitsu when I was 13.
Yeah,
And like it 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 like shaped my character, you know. Like I'm Guilherme because of judo and because of jiu-jitsu. So
that's, a, that's awesome. It's great to hear. Um, so the next question is, what's one of your favorite books?
wow, I have a very special book, and like it's a sad book, not a sad book because it talks about reality and like drug traffic and like drug dealing and stuff like that. That is 000.
Okay.
It's a book about like the producing of drugs in Mexico and how they get to Europe and how they pass through Brazil, go to North America, and all of that. And the author of this book, he's wanted from the mafia, Italian mafia, and from the Tijuana mafia. So everyone
Wow.
wants him die, dead. So
So he exposed the secrets of drug trafficking around the world.
that's it. And there's a lot of politics names and stuff. It's a great book.
Yeah, he has a target on his back for sure.
Yeah.
And last, actually, no, second last one. What is one thing you are challenged by right now?
Mm. Right now, I'm doing a post-graduation subject that is epigenetics, and now I'm trying to learn a little bit about a little bit more about epigenetics and try to develop that for cardio,
Mhm.
because we have a lot of things about epigenetics on cancer, but in cardio we don't have a lot. And now I'm trying to learn a little bit to start my research about epigenetics. So I'm very challenged with that, and I'm struggling a lot because it's a very technical thing
Yeah,
that usually biologists do those stuff about those research. But now with my medical view, I'm trying to introduce epigenetics to our clinical practice and stuff.
right. Yeah, it's challenging and better you than me because I've mentioned before I'm not a fan of research and I don't understand it well. So I'd rather be doing this kind of stuff and more like technology rather than being in the lab. Uh, but I know that if you guys find a breakthrough, if you find what you want, then it can impact, you know, the entire world of cardiology and then beyond.
Yeah. That's great. I love research. Like I love actually
Yeah.
human contact and like having clinical experience and stuff. But I love a lab.
Yeah. No, I can definitely tell whenever we're talking, I can feel your passion for, I guess, just human interaction that you have, and also just the passion for your field. Like, you genuinely know a little bit about everything in medicine, and you don't just know it superficially. You try to really understand kind of like the science and why certain things happen, and that shows that, you know, I saw that just from a couple of conversations that we had a couple months ago.
Yeah, that's cool. You're gonna feel that while you go through the years of the university. You're gonna feel that the feeling that you're starting to learn and everything starts to connect, and you're getting like deeper on each subject. You get there, man.
Thanks. Last one is, what are you grateful for today?
Like I'm grateful for my family being healthy, like in this COVID pandemic and stuff.
Hmm.
Everyone in my family is healthy, and everyone has a shelter to be in. Um, that I'm grateful for all of that. And like here in Brazil, we are in a big crisis, political crisis, economic crisis, healthy crisis, and all my family uh, amid that, it's okay. So
Yeah,
everyone is healthy.
no,
That's good.
that's good. It's good. Yeah, it's a really, it's a bonus that, you know, we have healthy family members and that we're not, you know, touched by COVID. And it's unfortunate that, you know, there are family members that have been impacted by it. And on top of that, like with some of the current political things going on in the States, like there's just seems to be a problem on top of problem. But that's why it's really important. Not only, you know, I ask you what you're grateful for, but for those who are viewing this interview, it's important to ask yourself at least three things you're grateful for every day, just to stay focused on the positive and train your mind on looking for the good things and not the bad things, because we naturally go to the bad things. And when we focus on the positive, it changes our worldview or how we see the world. And I think it definitely makes us happier.
Yeah, of course, I agree with all your words. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to kind of like who Guilherme is. Who is Guilherme Rocha? How about in a couple of sentences? Let's say, you know, you're on an interview, you're talking with a stranger on the street, and they ask who you are. What would you say? How would you describe yourself in a couple of sentences?
Uh, yeah, that's really hard, like to
Yeah.
summarize everything. But I'm thinking I'm a guy that loves everything he does. Like I love jujitsu, I love medicine. So I'm very excited with everything I get in touch with. Um, and that's pretty much it. You know, like I fall in love with things very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like I love jujitsu. I love math. I love medicine. I love physics. You know,
Yeah.
it's very easy for me to get in love with something or to get passionate about something.
Yeah. So you're a passionate individual with just life in general. You try to enjoy everything that you experience.
Yeah, carpe diem, man.
That's good. Um, if I were to ask your closest friends to summarize who you are in one word, what would it be?
Wow. Um, I don't know, maybe uh, that's hard, you know. But I think that they would say that I'm a very uh, uh, focused guy because um, everyone knows that when I want something, I will get it.
Right.
So everyone around me keep telling me that sometimes I overdo things. Like if I want to win a jiu-jitsu championship, I will
Yeah.
do everything I can.
Yeah.
I'm gonna train every day, 2 times a day, and do all the other stuff I have to do. Or if I want to get like an A in a test, I will study like 3 nights, 3 days straightly to get everything
It's
I
good.
want. Yeah, it's not good actually, but but it's like how I am. So
Yeah.
I'm very focused on what I want to do.
And that's really good. So, just in a couple of minutes of talking to you, we can already tell that you are a focused, passionate, and determined determined person in life in general. And those are really good skills to have, or just characteristics to have throughout life. Because no matter what you do, like you say, like if it's jujitsu, if it's school, or if it's some other job or relationship, then you're gonna do everything you can to over deliver. So some people say over promise and over deliver. And I think that from just our conversation now and how I've, gotten to know you over the time that you were here, you're that person that when you say something is going to happen, you not only do it, but you try to over deliver and meet or exceed the expectations.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that that's pretty much it.
Awesome. That's a good word, focused. Okay, so now we're gonna jump into kind of like the meat and potatoes. My channel is about medical school, and I think a lot of people here want to learn about medical school in Brazil and how certain things take place. So, why did you choose to go into field of medicine? Maybe try to summarize it quickly, so then we can get onto the other deeper questions as well.
Okay. Uh, I choose medicine because I like people. I like to be in touch with people, and I didn't know which course should I do. I thought about physical education or something like that. I don't know if there is a university for that in Canada or North America, but here in Brazil we have. So, but I think that I could do more. You know, I could like help people every day and like make them feel healthier and give them breath of life. So that's why I choose medicine.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful profession. I mean, I'm not practicing, but most people I talk to and professors, they say it's a beautiful profession, and there's endless possibilities in how you can serve people. So that is a very good reason to get into medicine. Um, so moving on, do you know what kind of doctor do you want to be?
Well, uh, I have a lot of inspirations in my life, a lot of mentors, uh, and one thing that when I see them practicing, and I think I will be a doctor like that, is a doctor that cares for its patient. I don't know how it's in Canada or North America, but here in Brazil we have a big problem that doctors work loads of shifts, like 100 hours a week, like
Mm.
crazy, and sometimes the doctor don't give the proper care for each patient.
Yeah.
So I like when, even when you have a lot of hours to do, each patient is special. So I want to be that doctor, the doctor that gives the time.
Hmm. You want to be focused on that patient so that you can give them the highest quality of care. Yeah, no, I can't imagine how difficult it can be. And I think for sure Brazilian doctors, South American doctors are probably just in general overworked compared to North America. And we'll get into that a little bit. Do you know right now what kind of doctor you wanted to be? What specialty you want to go
Oh,
into?
okay, specialty. Okay. Like I have two specialties that are in my head,
Mhm.
but a third that came this year when I was in Canada.
Oh, cool.
That, yeah, like I think about being a merge doctor,
Yeah.
or a cardiologist, or a family medicine family doctor.
Yeah.
Um, there are similarities and differences with those specialties, but I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, for sure. Those are all good specialties. Do you know where you want to practice? Like, do you want to stay in Curitiba or just in Brazil, or do you want to come to North America?
I always, since the first day in my university and on my med school, I always I always see myself practice medicine outside Brazil,
Mhm.
like not just because of medicine, but because other things about life. So I see myself practicing medicine out of Brazil, maybe North America, maybe Canada,
Hmm.
but that's a long way. Like, still I have 2 years of studying here in Brazil,
Yeah.
and I have to plan myself. I'm already doing that, but I'm 100% sure that I'm not gonna practice in.
Okay, good. But I'm sure you'll be able to achieve it. I mean, you're working towards it already, making connections, and I'm sure I'll see you here sometime again.
It'll be good.
All right, so let's actually, before we go into the next question I had, could you talk about just the process of how a high school student can get into medical school? Maybe just talk about the entire process from the interest of medicine, getting into medical school, residency, and becoming a doctor.
Okay, so in Brazil, the same as US or Canada, you do your high school, and after high school here in Brazil, at least, we have to do a test. We call here a name. It's similar to SATs, right? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that's more in United States. Out of high school, they need to do the SAT to get into university. In Canada, we don't.
Yeah, so like similar to US, we have to do something like an SAT, but each university has its own test. So if I want to get to my university, like to Federal University of Paraná, I had to do a test that they made for me to get in. So I had to study for that. But it's very hard to get in because there's a lot of people trying to get in medicine. Like, we have one vacancy for 120 people. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of people for one vacancy at the university. Um, and we have public and private universities. So the public universities has the big thing about it, because the most part of the science is produced in the public universities, and you don't have to pay anything else. Like, it's free, but you pay in your taxes, right?
Yeah.
So I have to study for that, and I had to do a like a pre-med, not a pre-med, but a course to study for this test.
Hmm.
So I studied there. I studied on this course for 2 years to pass on the test to get in the university.
Yeah. So just I'm gonna pause right there. I guess that test might be like the SAT and the MCAT put together in terms of the kind of things you'll see. But just so people listening, like you spent 2 years preparing for this test, whereas like for us, the main barrier for us is the MCAT, and people will spend a couple of months. It depends, but I just wanted to like highlight the fact that this test is serious, and like people pay a lot of money to spend a lot of time studying after high school, um, just to make sure they increase their chances of getting into their university.
Yeah, like it's very hard to get to university without studying on those courses because I actually don't know, I don't know anybody that didn't hasn't done those type of courses and passed. So it's almost impossible. Of
Mhm.
course, there are crazy people that do those stuff, but I had to stay there and try 2 years studying to pass to get into university. Uh, and after that, we start our university. Like I enter at the med school as a thing. I don't have to do college or anything before high school, directly to the university.
Right.
Yeah. I know that in North America, medicine is 4 years. We have 6 years.
Yep.
6 years. The first 2 years is about basic stuff like anatomy, like physiology, molecular biology, and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And then the next 4 years is about clinical stuff. So 2 years of theoretical um, clinical stuff like cardiology, nephrology, respiratory, and other stuff.
Mhm.
And then the final 2 years is just practicing medicine, but you're being supervised by doctors and mentors and other things
Right.
like that.
Here would be clerkship, right?
Yeah, it's similar to clerkship.
Similar.
I think it's the same thing. So after you finish university, you can go to two paths. So I got my graduation. I'm now a doctor. It's different from North America that you have to do a test or do a residence program to be a doctor. So when I finish my university, I already can practice as a doctor. So uh, you can if you don't want you can not do a residence.
Mhm.
So you're gonna keep practicing as a general doctor, general physician.
Yeah.
But if most of the people do residence programs, so and each residence program has its time, so its duration. So like for example, if you want to do internal medicine, you have to do 2 years of internal medicine here in Brazil of resident program. And after, if you want to be specialist on cardiology or I don't know, nephrology, neurology, or anything like that, you have to keep more 2 or 3 years on a residence program, doing studies and doing the course. So it's pretty much that.
Yeah.
So 6 years of university, 2 years of residence, or if you don't want to do you're free to go. Like you can be a doctor with that, you're registered and then everything. And then you do your residence program and you do a test at the end of your residence program to be a
Okay.
specialist.
Yeah. And so yeah, there's some differences. I hope people were able to pick those out. But the ones that stand out to me is the fact that, um, we in North America have to do 4 years of undergrad to get the chance to apply to medical school, and then you do 4 years of medical school plus however many of residency. And so it feels like, it definitely takes longer for us to kind of go through the entire process where you guys can get in right out of high school if you get accepted. You spent 2 years studying for your test, so that you also spend a little bit of time trying to get in. And then that's interesting that I didn't know that after university, after medical school, you can just start practicing. You don't have to do a residency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Here in Brazil, and it's pretty common. Like in the first year or first 2 years, people go directly from the university to practicing on emergency rooms or emergency departments, because here in Brazil is where the doctors are uh, most needed here,
Hmm.
and like they don't pay well. So newly graduated doctors would take those jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
True. Do you know how much they're paid? Like, do you know how much residents are paid and how like certain doctors are paid? Because we can briefly mention that. But before we do, if you know the prices, I wanted to talk about residency and doctors and the differences between the lifestyles that they have between Brazil and here. I talked to you a little bit about how sometimes I, as a first year, get anxious about the challenges that I'm going to face in residency or even clerkship. And something you told me, it's like basically like relax, calm down, it's going to be okay. You guys have it easy compared to us in Brazil and other people. So can you just tell me and tell the viewers what residency is like, how many hours they work, the long shift, maybe how much they're paid, if you know that number. Yeah.
Okay. Like, just to be clear, I'm not saying that Canadians don't work a lot on residency. It's not like that. I'm saying that Brazilians work a lot more than it's needed. Like, it's crazy here.
Right. Yeah.
So a resident here do like around 120 hours a week. So that's not legal here in Brazil. When we see on the law, it's 60 hours a week, but it's very rare to find any residence program that you will do just 60 hours, and everyone here is okay with that, and even medical students are okay with that because they think that as much hours as I do, the much I will learn.
Mm.
So that's a little bit about the mindset here. I'm not saying that everyone's like that,
Right.
but everyone agrees partially with that.
Yeah.
And like in Canada, while I was in DR and I was talking with some residents, they were saying to me that they do 60 hours max. So I say, okay, you guys work enough, like it's okay, 60 hours. And on those 60 hours, I know there's a day that they take just for academic stuff, like to study and to learn a little bit more about specifically treatment or anything like that. So they don't have to do shifts after shifts. That's a little bit about what we do in Brazil. So
Mm-hmm.
you have a shift of 12 hours, and then the next day you have another shift of 12 hours, and the other day you have still another 12 shifts. So that's crazy. 12 shifts you have each day, every day, even on Sundays and Saturdays. And the payments here are awful. Like a resident get to introduce in year, we get around 24,000 reais. Uh, like don't use the currency, but think about $24,000, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and I learned that that a resident in Canada gets around $60,000 a year, like in
Yeah.
the first year.
Yeah, like first year family resident can earn like $53,000 in a year. And then it just continues increasing.
It's just a little bit more than Brazil. Like, just to compare a little bit, if you want to get a good house to live, and you will pay around 1,500 reais. So like more than half of your salary. So
Per
if you get
per month,
per
right?
month, yeah,
Yeah.
per month, yeah, right. So it's more than half of your salary. So
Right.
you're already a doctor and you're working and you're not getting paid uh, the way you should. Like
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a tough situation to be because you sacrifice, you give so much of your time, and just the way the system is set up, or maybe the government over years, there's a lot of factors that go into that, but you don't feel like you are fairly compensated for like you have to work more, but you earn less compared to North America. People make it work, but there's a price to pay, and it can be family relationships, it can be your own health. And definitely that's something that um, I feel like that people would be fighting or advocating to kind of, increase the quality of a doctor's life. I don't know if that's something that's happening in Brazil or that people are aware of, but I think most people would advocate for it.
Yeah, like of course we have a lot of um people that gathers to talk about those stuff, and we have like um, association and stuff that fights for a better life for the resident.
Hmm.
A lot of things change from in the last few years, I think 5 or 6 years, and like they're trying to change and adjust the salary of the residents now, but with all this crisis, I don't think that will be possible.
Right.
So
Yeah. And I just want to clarify when you were talking about just the number of hours that residents there work, I feel like there might be people in the audience saying, "Oh, but I know somebody in residency here that works more than 60 hours." And so what I think is what Guilherme experienced was when he talked was 60 hours average per week, but I will acknowledge that certainly there are residencies and periods within each residency where your hours are going to fluctuate. 60 hours is maybe the average, but then you can go up to 80 or more or less. And so it just depends. Just know that if you're going into medicine, you're gonna work hard. It's not gonna be easy. But once you get through kind of like the thick of it, which is medical school, which is residency, the first couple of years of medicine, like practicing, you kind of establish that base of knowledge. And then from what I hear is that it gets easier. You learn to manage things a lot better.
yeah, yeah, it's a little bit like that here in Brazil too. Like the residency and university, med school, it's really tough. But when you finish your residency, you start to get a little bit more paid. Your salary rises a lot, and the life quality gets a little bit better too. So I think that compensates.
Okay. Yeah. Um, so that kind of wraps up the questions that I had and that I received from social media when I posted that we were going to be interviewing together. Do you have anything you want to say to people who are going to be watching this as kind of like the last thing before we close off?
Um, yeah, like I would like to say that just for you guys to understand a little bit about our health system really quickly, it's different from Canada because Canada has only a public health system, and here in Brazil we have both. We have a private and we have a public. Usually, who uses the public health system are the poor people. That's not the rule, but almost everyone that's poor use it. And the private system is more for those people that has a lot of money and get access for that and other stuff like that. They have health insurance and stuff like that, similar. And when we do medicine at med school, we have access to public hospitals. So Brazil, as we know, is a country of a lot of inequality and a lot of differences on education um, and other things like that. So you have to be prepared to deal with all those differences, to know how to manage and to explain to someone that never been to school how to use their medicine, how to use their drugs and things like that. So it's really hard to manage all those things.
Hmm.
So that's a good thing. I know Canada has a lot of problems too,
Yeah.
and but that's what I felt. That's very different from Brazil and
Yeah. No, for sure. There's that's a big difference. All right. So, Guilherme, I want to thank you so much for being willing to jump on this call and answer the questions that some people sent in. I appreciated the time. One that we spent together a couple of months ago, getting to know each other. Like, if you hadn't given that presentation on the emergency room in Brazil and I hadn't attended, then we wouldn't have gotten to know each other. And from there, we practiced some jujitsu. And so that just led to kind of this relationship. And now, a lot of people can get to know you. Is there now, do you have like an Instagram that people can follow, or are you on social media at all? Or are you just one of those people that just is so focused on their life that they don't want anything to do with social media?
No, no, I have social media. I spend a lot of time there. I'm not proud of that, but I do it. Actually, I have an Instagram that if you can follow me, it's GUI underline LROCHA. It's like Gui underline L Rocha.
Okay.
It's my name and my surname. And sometimes I'm do live streams playing games on Twitch. So
Awesome.
just in the COVID pandemic, like I can't do jujitsu,
Yeah.
and like now I'm playing video games. I've never been playing video games, but now I'm doing it.
Speaking of which, could you just elaborate a little bit how your school has adjusted to COVID?
Okay. Okay. Like my school hasn't adjusted to COVID. Um, so what's happening in my country and in my city and my university is that we are having a lot of political problems and financial problems, and our university don't have not everyone in my university have access to internet. So like one third of my university don't have any access to internet at home.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So that's a lot of people. So it's hard to implement anything like that's remote, that you stay at home and do and study if you don't have internet at home.
Hmm.
So that's really hard. That's what we are struggling about at my university and in Brazil in general. There are some universities here in Brazil that are doing something like giving internet for students that don't have and paying for that,
Hmm.
but that's not the case of my university because it would be very expensive. If you think that one third of all the university, I think that's 30,000 people that study at my university.
Wow.
That would be like 10,000 people that they have to pay for internet. That's a lot of money. That wouldn't be feasible.
Yeah.
And now we are not having classes. So since March, I'm not having classes on my med school. Not even. I think I'm gonna lose this semester. Uh, so I will just start in the next semester, uh, and then I'm gonna graduate 6 months after uh, after that was scheduled.
Yeah.
But we have to do that, right?
Yeah.
So we have to stay home. We have to stay safe. Uh, stop stop spreading the virus, and try to like minimize the problems and other things like that. So we're not having med school for
Yeah.
us at least.
Yeah, no, that's very unfortunate, and nobody wants to be delayed. Med school is long enough. But like you said, it has to happen, and hopefully things start to clear up, and we can, that you can get back to your school, and when we start our semester in September, that we can start in a physical location rather than online.
Yeah. Like COVID here in Brazil, it's pretty bad all over Brazil, but here in my city, it's not that bad. We're starting to reopen and start to open gyms and other things.
Good.
But I think my university will be back just in September. So
Okay. Well, September it is, and that's when you guys will start. Guilherme, thank you again for an awesome interview. I hope everybody that has listened was able to learn a little bit more about the culture of medicine in Brazil and kind of the similarities and differences, and that they're able to get to know you personally as well. So, guys, make sure to follow Guilherme on Instagram, watch his live streams, ask him questions. Thank you again, and Guilherme, have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, everyone. And follow me on Instagram. And thank you.
All right, see ya.
See ya.